On this week's show, number 1 ranked Alabama finally falls, and John Gruden resigns as the head coach of the Las Vegas Raiders.
In this week's history lesson, we tell the story of Fordham University's famous lineman known as the 7 Blocks of Granite.
That and so much more this week in a crazy edition of This Week in the World of Football.
Hello again, everyone, and welcome to another edition of This Week in the World of Football. This is episode number 218 for October 12th, 2021. I'm your host, Randy Snow, and across the table from me, as always, is my son, Adam.
When I said crazy in the introduction, I mean this week was crazy.
Oh, man, so much happened this past week. On the field, off the field.
Yeah.
It's been a crazy
week. In NFL, in college, in Canada, goodness gracious. It's just craziness all over.
Yep. We come to you each week from the World of Football Man Cave, located right here in the center of the football world, Kalamazoo, Michigan. We're here to promote the game of football in all its many forms, past, present, and future. From the NFL to the CFL to the XFL, college, high school, indoor, and arena football, we inform and entertain our listeners with the glorious buffet that is the world of football. All this while keeping a close eye on the rich history of the game. Thanks for checking out our podcast. We'd love to get your feedback on one of our many platforms: Apple Podcasts, SoundCloud, Stitcher, TuneIn, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and now YouTube, where we post the entire audio portion of this show, as well as other selected videos. So, let's review what happened this past week, and we start with the World of Football scoreboard.
That's right. We're going to kick things off with the National Football League. It was week 5. I can't believe it. We're already 5 weeks into the season. And Thursday night started things off with the Los Angeles Rams taking down the Seattle Seahawks 26-17. This game was not that interesting at first, but as the game went along, so much happened, including both quarterbacks having finger injuries.
Yep.
One was, however, able to play through it. The other is out for about 6 weeks.
4 to 8 weeks is what I heard.
Yeah, Russell Wilson, that finger injury, some tendon.
Looked gruesome.
Yeah, not very pleasing to the eye. But, I mean, it's a bummer for Seahawks fans. It's a bummer for Russell Wilson. Good guy, good dude, and just a bummer injury.
Yeah, for Stafford, I mean, he has one of these every year, I think.
Yeah.
He hits his hand on somebody's helmet or he does something.
Dislocates a finger,
pops
it back in.
He just keeps on playing, and it's nothing new for him.
But for Russell, I mean, come on, it's a little more severe than that. It's not
true.
They tried to pop something back, and I mean, sometimes you're just going to have an injury like that, and it's unfortunate for Russ. It'll be a 6 to 8 week kind of.
I mean, it didn't look that bad when you first saw it. I mean, first saw the hit, but then you saw his finger was all crooked.
Yeah, my buddy who's an occupational therapist, he said as soon as he saw his hand, he knew that he was going to be gone for a while. So, not good, but for Seattle, it's their first loss on Thursday night since Week 7 of 2012. They had just won 9 straight prior to this, so on Thursday night. So, take that for what you will. Moving across the pond, we're going to start off the Sunday slate of games in London, where the Atlanta Falcons defeated the New York Jets 27-20. I don't know how many people got up early to watch this one. We certainly did.
Yep.
And
I made a special breakfast for that.
Special. You just little biscuits and gravy. Big deal.
Well, I don't make it very often, so.
Should have been tea and crumpets. But anyway.
I don't know how to make crumpets.
Well, there you go. Maybe you need to learn. There's a London game next week. Get ready for that.
Oh, you want crumpets next week?
Well, yeah, on the drive to Detroit, yeah. But anyway, so the Falcons finally got some major production out of rookie tight end Michael Pitts. Heck of a game for him. It's the most receiving yards in a game by a rookie in London with 119 receiving yards. He got his first touchdown catch. He looked pretty good, but the Falcons had a pretty banged-up wide receiver core, so he was kind of the big guy to go to throughout the game.
For many years they played at Wembley Stadium, and it was always such a muddy field, grass field and all that. And then you saw that video of them pulling back the stadium floor at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, and they have like an NFL field underneath their grass field. So this stadium was built for the NFL, and my gosh, what a crazy thing to see.
Heck of an investment they put in the NFL. Just have this we'll play our games on this really nice soccer field football field that will roll out underneath the American football field.
Yeah,
but when they need it, oh boy,
it's a synthetic field, so it's an artificial field underneath, and then it's a real grass field on top.
Which is weird. You think it would have been the opposite. You think they'd roll in a fake field and then have the nice grass underneath, but
I don't know. The NFL probably said, we played in the mud too long in London. We want a nice field.
Maybe not. Or is this just London trying to get an NFL team? Who knows?
Could be. You never can tell.
Never can tell. But yeah, so the game, not that exciting. It got better towards the end, but typical London fare, I think. Yeah. I feel bad for the Brits getting this kind of football. They got the Falcons and the Jets. That's
well, didn't I hear somewhere that there's never been a winning team that's played in London?
I think that's something they said during the broadcast.
Yeah, they've all been teams with bad records. I mean,
it's not like they schedule that on purpose. I don't think. It just kind of happens.
It's the way it's worked out. But they are getting bad games over there, bad teams.
But hey, they still show up for it. It looked like a packed stadium. Mm-hmm. All right, moving on. The New Orleans Saints defeated the Washington football team 33-22. Alvin Kamara, the running back of the Saints, had 71 rushing yards and a rushing touchdown, along with 51 receiving yards and a receiving touchdown. So, good game for him, and the Saints get back on the winning track there. Yep. The New England Patriots defeated the Houston Texans 25-22 to get back in the win column. Rookie quarterbacks are now 1-11 since 2014 against New England, so careful if you have a rookie quarterback and you're about to face the Patriots anytime soon. The Miami Dolphins fell to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers 45-17. For Tom Brady, he's reached 400 passing yards, 5+ touchdowns in a game for the first time in his career. Unbelievable. The dude is older than dirt, and he's still breaking personal records and breaking just records in general.
Yeah, it's incredible to see him play at his age.
Yeah, and to keep playing. And,
he looks like he's still in his 20s.
And we don't know when he's going to stop. You can't even predict it. We thought years ago we'd start seeing the decline.
Yep.
And 2 Super Bowls later, I don't see a decline.
Yeah.
So everybody be prepared for another 10 years of Tom Brady.
Oh, please.
Speaking of prepared, the field goal kickers were not prepared for this game, where the Cincinnati Bengals fell to the Green Bay Packers in overtime, 25-22. The story from this game is all the missed field goals, extra points, field goals. Goodness gracious. You see the meme out there that said the Bengals are adding extra wide goalposts just to get this game over with.
Yeah.
And but Green Bay pulls it out against a tough Bengals team. Any thoughts from this one?
Green Bay just finds a way to win.
Yeah, that's what they do.
But didn't I hear that there were like a total of 14 missed field goals over this past weekend?
Probably. Last I heard it was like 11, but yeah, I guess Monday night.
Yeah, with Monday night it was something like 14. 14 missed field. That just seems like an unnatural amount.
I know. And for Green Bay, this is their first road win in Cincinnati since
2005.
1998.
Wow.
I have to go a ways back. Brett Favre was probably the quarterback back then.
Could be.
All right, we move over to Minneapolis, where the Detroit Lions fell to the Minnesota Vikings 19-17. Minnesota Vikings kicked the game-winning 54-yard field goal as time expired, and tell me where you've heard that story before.
Oh my gosh, that's twice this year that the Lions have lost on a long field goal with no time left on the clock.
With the final score being 19-17.
I don't know.
Are we cursed? That is the question on everybody's lips. Do you believe in curses after this run?
You know, I never did, but man, this season is beginning to make me think twice that maybe this franchise is cursed somehow. from William Clay Ford purchasing the team on the day that John F. Kennedy was assassinated to just everything that's happened in the last 50 years. I really don't know. I just throw my hands up and I just say I don't know anymore. I really don't.
I try not to believe in curses, and I try not to because that's such an easy thing to just. And you kind of want to have a curse because that's something tangible to believe in. That's something tangible you can actually. Well, you can throw your frustration at it and just be like, it was just a curse. That's why we're bad. Mm-hmm. Instead of just facing the facts that we just have dumb, stupid, bad luck.
We've been our own worst enemy on the field the last couple weeks. We've shot ourselves in the foot, thrown interceptions, fumbled the ball, bad snaps that hit somebody when he's not looking, and all kinds of things like that. And it's really, really frustrating, but such is the life of a Lions fan.
I guess so. We shouldn't have to put up with this, and that's why I'm filling out my sheet. What do they call it? It's an application to become a Cardinals fan. We'll talk about them in a minute. But I mean,
thought we were Rams fans now because of Matthew
are the Rams
Stafford
undefeated? No, they're not.
Wow.
I want a team
Close
that's
enough.
winning games, not this 0-5 BS. Hold on, if it makes you feel any better, fellow Lions fans out there, this is an analogy, Randy, that I think you'll quite appreciate.
All right.
Or really hate. My roommate in our fantasy football league started 0-5 and ended up winning the league title last year. So if anybody can turn it around, well, probably not the Lions, but my roommate was able to, and I'm good for him.
In 1983, the USFL's Michigan Panthers started the season 1-4 and won the USFL title. Thus, why I'm wearing their T-shirt today.
But you want to know what the difference between them and the Lions is?
They played in the same stadium.
Well, hold on, I'm going to stop you. It was the one win. They at least got a win up to that point, and the Lions do not.
Yeah.
Even though we should have 2 wins under our belt, and everybody can get off our backs. But hey, whatever. I'll say this, and then we can move on. For a team that's clearly rebuilding and has no players whatsoever that are clearly making that great of an impact, guys that we don't, young guys, we're doing all right. Just in terms of they got fight. I think the coaching staff is actually okay. Maybe some decisions here and there aren't great, but it gives me I hate using the H word, but it gives me a little hope that maybe things are going in the right direction. While on the outside it doesn't look like it. I feel like we got the right coach. I feel like we got the right pieces in place to start building something that could be scary.
It's just take time for everybody to get on the same page.
And Lions fans are just sick of time. We hate time. Yeah. Time is our worst enemy.
Yeah, we've been rebuilding since 1957.
Oh, yeah, put that on a T-shirt. Oh, wait, you could find those everywhere in Detroit.
But there are currently 2 winless teams in the NFL, and I looked at the schedule, and Detroit does not play that other team. So
we played them last year.
There could be 2 0-16 teams this year.
0-17.
0-17 teams.
To make matters worse, we could be 0-17. We could be worse than the team before.
And if both those teams wind up 0-17, we'll get the second pick. Somehow we'll get screwed out of the first pick.
That's fine. Let them take another quarterback at first overall. All right, moving on. The Denver Broncos fell to the Pittsburgh Steelers 27-19. Najee Harris is the 4th Pittsburgh rookie running back with 120 plus rushing yards and a touchdown in a game since. Hold on, you're going to have to go way back here.
1974.
1970. You were only 4 years off. Good for you.
Thank you.
The Philadelphia Eagles got a victory over the Carolina Panthers 21-18. Philadelphia's defense had 3 interceptions in the game for the first time since week 2 of 2019. And if you were anywhere on the internet that day, you probably also saw that a couple of Eagles fans got arrested for having a little fun after the game in a men's bathroom stall. That's right. A couple went into a bathroom stall. We're having fun, and then the cops busted in, and there's video of it. So
I do not remember that.
Well, yeah, this just happened. So,
it
didn't happen in 2019. I'm talking about this weekend.
That's
I
what
I thought
it was back in 2019.
No, when I saw the dumb glazed look on your face, I was like, he didn't register that as this weekend. So
well, thank God I didn't see that either.
It was just funny because a guy and a girl come out of a bathroom stall and everybody's videoing it. Anyway. What's also funny is the other winless team, the Jaguars, continued their losing ways, falling to Tennessee 37-19. Jacksonville has now lost 20 straight games for the 3rd longest streak in NFL history. Unbelievable.
Yeah. How many games was that? Is that 20? You said 20 games?
20 games, yep.
Okay. I think the record is 29, but I'm not sure.
Oh, boy. Can the Jags do it? Can they do it?
We'll see.
We will see. Anyway, moving on. In a shootout, the Los Angeles Chargers defeated the Cleveland Browns 47-42. Baker Mayfield suffers his 3rd career loss when crossing the 42-point mark, which is the most in NFL history. So, man, that's got to sting being Baker's normally you hang 42 points.
Right, you're going to win.
You win the game.
Yeah.
But if you're Baker Mayfield, it ain't a sure thing, and that's unfortunate.
Need to beef up that defense there, Cleveland.
I guess, but how about them Chargers, though? Justin Herbert and them Chargers looking real good.
Yeah, they are. They are looking good.
Speaking of not looking good, the Chicago Bears defeated the Las Vegas Raiders 20-9 for Chicago's first road win against the Raiders since Week 10 of 2007.
I didn't give Chicago much chance in that game.
Oh, I didn't either.
I was really surprised. That was Justin Fields' first game as a starter, so
yeah. And do we talk about the Raiders news now, or do you want to wait?
Let's wait on that.
We will wait. All right. Y'all know what we're going to talk about, but we'll get back to it in a little bit. The San Francisco 49ers fell to the Arizona Cardinals 17-10. For Arizona, they are 5-0. Their 5-0 start is the first time since 1974 that they have done so, and that was when they were the St. Louis Rams, or the St. Louis Cardinals. Sorry.
Yeah.
So been a while, but man, these Cardinals are something else too. The last unbeaten team.
5-0, yep.
In a game that for some reason the NFL keeps thinking we want to see on TV nationally, the Dallas Cowboys beat the New York Giants 44-20. We don't want to see them anymore. We're sick of both these teams being on national TV against each other.
Yeah.
44-20. How about this? Ty, I think his first name is Ty. I forget. He was on Hard Knocks. I liked watching him on Hard Knocks. Diggs, the defensive back for the Cowboys. He is an early Defensive Player of the Year candidate. As I make sure, because I want to give him proper due with his name. And why is it so hard to come up? Trayvon Diggs, that's his name, Mr. Trayvon Diggs. One or more interceptions in 5 straight games. That is the longest Dallas Cowboys streak since 1970. And I think he's got 6 interceptions in 5 games. This dude has just been all over the field, making plays clearly, and is the early front runner for Defensive Player of the Year. And I don't blame him. I don't know what pace he's on, if that's going to break a record or not. I'm not sure what the record in a season is, but good for him. I remember a few years back, Darius Slay getting like 7 or 8 interceptions in a season with Detroit, and this guy's already got 6, and we're only 5 weeks into the year. Thoughts?
Well, I know that who's the guy for Detroit?
There's a lot of them.
Night Train Lane. He set a record, I think, as a rookie with 12 interceptions in a season. But I don't know if that's the NFL record, for anybody. But yeah, Night Train Lane was pretty good at being able to figure out where the ball was going and jump the route and intercept the ball that way too. So yeah.
Yeah, the record for most interceptions in a single season is held by Night Train Lane, who logged 14 interceptions as a rookie in 1950 while playing for the Los Angeles Rams.
Yep.
Previously, before that, it was Dan Sandifer of Washington and Spec Sanders jointly holding the record, earning 13 interceptions in 1948 and 1950, respectively. So, could we be seeing a record broken here? I mean, shoot, he's got a lot of games left to do some interceptions.
Only week 5 and in the first 17-game season.
Yeah.
Could be.
Yeah, that'll be something to watch out for. Yep. I mean, they did say this is the biggest season ever, and boy, oh boy, is this season delivered.
Yeah, yep.
All right, speaking of delivering, the Buffalo Bills delivered a big fat L to the Kansas City Chiefs on Sunday Night Football. How about this game? 38-20, the Bills take it. Each of their last 11 wins have been by 10 points or more, which is the longest streak since 1998-1999. So the Bills doing a lot of stuff.
Yeah, the Bills are looking good, and the Chiefs, boy, they are really slipping this year.
I mean, it's early.
I know, but Patrick Mahomes just hasn't looked like himself. I don't know what it is. He's been off the mark with his receivers. He's making bad decisions.
Has the league figured him out? Is that the question that people should be asking?
It could be.
We say that, and then he's going to turn in a 500-yard performance next week. But I mean, I think it's just a bad combination of just everybody. They've for 2 years. 3 years, they've seen what Mahomes could do. Mm-hmm. They got a big target on their back now.
Sure.
Being in 2 Super Bowls in a row. But, I think just give credit where credit's due, and that's to the Buffalo Bills, who've built a juggernaut of a team over there.
Yep.
And, they got to see firsthand Kansas City beat them in the playoffs in the AFC Championship. That's a little bit of a motivating factor. And to beat the Chiefs in their building is a big deal. And a good point that was brought up on the broadcast is, people say early in the season, these games, whatever, they don't really matter till the end. But this could be a big game that'll matter later. Sure. If the Chiefs bounce back and it's between them and the Buffalo Bills tied at the end of the season, Buffalo gets home field advantage over them because they won the head-to-head.
Right.
So it was a big deal. Yeah. And I think I'd hate to see this matchup in Buffalo because I think it'll be worse. I think Buffalo will really take it to them.
Well, I forgot my train of thought there.
Your night train of thought? Night train lane of thought?
No, we'll probably see these two teams again.
Probably.
Later on this season in the playoffs. maybe
AFC
somewhere.
Championship, maybe not,
And
but
Buffalo,
at some point.
And Buffalo will not have any problem going into Kansas City, knowing that they've already gone there once and won. So
Yeah.
so I think now Buffalo really has the psychological advantage
Oh.
over Kansas City.
Maybe.
So,
I wouldn't go, well,
So we'll see.
I guess I can't disagree with you there.
Yeah.
But then Monday night, we had the Baltimore Ravens squeak out a win against the Indianapolis Colts. Definitely not what I saw coming, because when I watched this game and went to bed, it was all Colts.
Yeah.
It was all Colts. And I woke up to somehow the Ravens coming back, taking it to overtime, and winning in overtime, throwing a game-winning touchdown to seal it up. Lamar Jackson, how about this guy? Everybody thought that the league had him figured out, and he just went and threw the most passing yards in a game in Baltimore history, throwing for 442 yards. The dude known for running threw it for 442 yards. Unbelievable. This kid is incredible. And I've seen some numbers. Somebody pointed out that at this point in the season of his MVP season 2 years ago, he's doing almost better in a lot of categories than he did at that time, and he won MVP. So Lamar is something else.
Well, I watched this game till about halftime, and I went to bed, and I watched the highlights this morning of the second half. But it looked like the Detroit game, where he didn't look that good all game long, but in the end, somehow he found a way to win. And I think that was the same with last night's game. He didn't, it's not that he looked bad. It's just that Indianapolis was in control of the game until the very end when they, tied it up and then just won it in overtime.
Yeah.
So do we give him all the credit? I mean, the media's giving him all the credit, but I don't know. That's two games where he barely came out of there with a win. One was a 66-yard NFL record field goal to give him the win, and
this game took him the most passing yards a Baltimore Raven quarterback has ever had to throw in a game. So hey, it's a little column A, a little column B. I think it's a little bit of Russ doing Russ. God, I keep calling him. It's because I call him Big Truss. It's a little bit of Lamar doing his thing, and a little bit of maybe the Colts just that defense just letting it happen. Like, I know he's hard to stop for 4 full quarters.
Right.
But when it really comes down to it, you got to be able to stop him that last 5 minutes of the game. If you can shut him down then, you're good probably.
Yeah.
Anyway, moving on. That's it for the NFL scoreboard this week. We'll talk about some of those big NFL stories that we kind of teased in a little bit. But now we move north of the border to talk about the CFL. And in the CFL, happy Canadian Thanksgiving Day to you. A day late and a dollar short.
Yeah.
Or sorry, a day late and a loony short. But
5 games this week on the CFL schedule.
How is that possible, you say? Well, we'll tell you.
Where they had to pigeonhole that one game in that got canceled because of COVID earlier in the season. So that was Toronto and Ottawa. And so they got to play on Wednesday. So they're playing like 3 games in 8 days or something like that. And because of the Wednesday game and then the Monday game, they're playing twice in 5 days.
All right. Well, we start things off with that Toronto-Ottawa game where the Argonauts defeated the Red Blacks 35-16. That Argonauts defense returned 2 interceptions for touchdowns, and they are now 4-0 at home this season. How about that? Yeah. The Argos celebrated the 30th anniversary of their 1991 Grey Cup win over Calgary by wearing throwback uniforms and helmets from that season.
Yeah, I saw them play in 1994, and that was the helmet they were wearing, just that letter A, no circle around it, just a big letter A on the helmet. Yep. So that was my first introduction to the Argonauts, and it was great to see that helmet on the field again.
Yeah,
that was a nice look.
That was pretty cool. And the Calgary team they beat back then was not the Red Blacks. For those of you who are not familiar with the CFL,
no, that's the Calgary Stampeders.
Oh, Calgary Stampeders.
Whoops. You're talking Ottawa.
Well, I was trying to sound real smart there for a minute, and instead I looked nothing.
No, they beat Calgary in the Grey Cup that year. That was
Calgary.
Rocket Ishmael's rookie year,
okay.
And a whole book about that season just came out.
Okay.
But yeah, it was nice to see them celebrate that 30th anniversary, and those helmets were just so cool to watch.
Toronto quarterback McLeod Bethel Thompson was 15 of 21 for 181 yards and a touchdown, while Ottawa quarterback Caleb Evans was 23 of 41 for 334 yards, but 0 touchdowns and 3 interceptions. And may I interject, I still use my fact, Ottawa was not known as the Red Blacks back then. Just so everybody knows, if you're a new Canadian football fan, they were known as
the Rough Riders.
There you go. Right. I mean, there was an Ottawa Renegades at one point.
Yes,
but not
for a couple
then.
years.
Yes. And I love that Renegades logo, by the way. That was the first CFL hat I bought, was a Ottawa Renegades hat, because I like that logo so much. Fun fact. Anyway, on Friday, the Winnipeg Blue Bombers defeated the Edmonton Elks 30-3. The Blue Bombers are now 5-0 at home this season and improved to a league best 8-1. Quarterback Zach Collaros was 16 of 27 for 207 yards and a touchdown, while running back Andrew Harris ran the ball 24 times for 150 yards, as well as 2 touchdowns.
150 yards, man. For a running back in the CFL, that's incredible.
Edmonton quarterback Trevor Harris was just 9 of 22 passing for 87 yards and no touchdowns. His replacement, Taylor Cornelius, was even worse, completing just 6 of 13 for 47 yards and an interception.
Yeah, bad day for the Elks.
Yeah. All right, moving on. The Calgary Stampeders defeated the Saskatchewan Roughriders 22-19. Calgary kicker Rene Paredes kicked 5 field goals in the game, including the game winner of 44 yards as time expired. Stampeders quarterback Bo Levi Mitchell was 20 of 28 for 296 yards passing and a touchdown, while running back Kadeem Carey ran the ball 20 times for 109 yards. For Saskatchewan, quarterback Cody Fajardo was 20 of 31 passing for 191 yards and a touchdown. He also ran 6 times for 28 yards. Kicker Brett Lother connected on 4 field goals, including 1 from 52 yards.
Yeah, this game was the game of the kickers. The kicks were everywhere, and it was just a really close game. And congratulations to Calgary for getting a win there.
Mm-hmm. And then we move on to celebrate Thanksgiving football. That's right. Yesterday, Thanksgiving in Canada had 2 games, the annual doubleheader. In the first, we had the Montreal Alouettes defeat the Ottawa Redblacks 20-16. Montreal had to come from behind with a late touchdown drive by backup quarterback, who shall be nameless, for the win. Just kidding. Quarterback Matt Schultz came off the bench for the injured Vernon Adams in the closing minutes of the game, driving the team down to the 7-yard line, where running back Cameron Artis Payne ran it in for the winning score with 42 seconds remaining in the game. Quarterback Vernon Adams was 12 of 21 for 157 yards, passing and a touchdown, while running back Cameron Artis Payne ran the ball 22 times for 122 yards and a touchdown.
Yeah, Vernon Adams got injured. They had to bring the kid in, and he did what he had to do. I mean, it wasn't great passing or whatever, but he drove the team down the field, got him in position, and handed it off to the running back, and he just powered his way into the end zone.
And then some of my favorite highlights of the week go to this final game on Thanksgiving yesterday. The Toronto Argonauts defeated the Hamilton Tiger Cats 24-23 for the second time in 5 days. The Argonauts have come away with a victory. Hamilton led most of the game, and with 1:07 left to go in the game, the Argos trailed 23-21, but quarterback McLeod Bethel Thompson of the Argonauts led the team down the field, and Boris Beatty kicked a 51-yard field goal as time expired for the win. Bethel Thompson was 29 of 42 for 388 yards passing and 2 touchdowns, and Curly Gittins caught 7 passes. Well, getting while the getting's good. 7 passes for 108 yards. For Hamilton quarterback Jeremiah Masoli was 24 of 33 for 361 yards and 2 touchdowns, while wide receiver Jason Ackland caught 6 passes for 96 yards and a touchdown. This was just the second win for Toronto in Hamilton since Tim Hortons Field opened in 2014.
Yeah, it's been a house of horrors for the Argonauts to go into Hamilton and play a game there at Tim Hortons Field. But yeah, there's been a lot of that going on in the NFL and the CFL. People kicking field goals with time expired or as the clock ran out to win a game. Man, it's all over the place.
Kicking while kicking's good.
Yeah.
Or kicking while kicking's terrible too at some points this week. On bye this week, the British Columbia Lions, whose next game will be at home against the Calgary Stampeders. And we will quickly highlight the standings, as we always do with the CFL. In the West, it's Winnipeg with that league best 8-1 record, followed by Saskatchewan at 5-4, British Columbia at 4-4, Calgary at 4-5, and Edmonton rounding out the bottom of that division with a 2-6 record. Over in the East, it's Toronto at 6-3, leading the way, followed by Montreal at 4-4, Hamilton at 4-5, and Ottawa 2-7.
Yeah.
Toronto now wins 2 in 5 days. Ottawa has lost 2 in 5 days.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. Good. It was a good 5 days for Toronto. Not so good for Ottawa.
Yeah.
And so now Toronto has a 2-game lead in the East. So it's been a good week for them.
Yeah, 2-game lead for them. And then in the West, I mean, Winnipeg's got a 3-game lead over Saskatchewan there, and they only got a few weeks left. So
yeah.
I don't know if they've officially clinched yet or how that works right now.
I don't think anybody's clinched any spots yet, but boy, Winnipeg is
they're very close, I'm sure.
Is sitting in a good spot for getting a playoff spot. Number 1 seed probably.
All right, and with that, we'll throw it over to Randy with the college football scoreboard this week.
All right, this was week 6 in college football, and in the top 4, starting in the FBS, it was Texas A&M upsetting number 1 Alabama 41-38. Texas coach Jimbo Fisher becomes the first former Saban assistant to win a game against his old coach.
What a heck of a stat! They always show that statistic whenever their coaches play, former assistants play Saban.
Yep.
And you just see 0-2, 0-3, 0-4, 0-1. All these coaches without a win, and Jimbo Fisher's the one to do it. And I wonder if after the Gatorade was dumped, after the crowd was herded off the field, did the dean or the athletic director lure Jimbo Fisher to his office and say, "All right, well, sign a big fat contract extension because you beat Alabama"?
I don't know about that, but Saban was 24-0 against his former assistants who had become head coaches.
And hey, to be Jimbo Fisher and be like, "I'm the one."
Yeah, he's now 24-1. I'm that one.
Right.
Oh man.
Yeah, good for him. And what a heck of a ending that game was, because when we were watching, we kind of were watching the Michigan game at the same time. So we kept seeing the score at the bottom, and we're like, "Oh, dang, Alabama's, getting trounced a little bit." But then you saw them kind of creep back. You're like, "Oh, okay, well, Alabama will probably come back and win this, right?" And then when our game got done, we flipped over to the Alabama game, watched the end of that, and good for that kicker for Texas A&M. Did you see the video of his family watching it?
Yes.
So cool. That was some of the coolest, just seeing them all freak out when it happened, and all the fans behind him. And I don't know if it was his mom or what, but she just immediately just ran out onto the field after. It was pretty cool.
And once again, another game ended on a field goal as time expires.
Yep.
So it's everywhere. Don't be bad-mouthing these kickers now. They produce under
kickers
pressure.
are players too.
They may have missed some kicks, but a majority of them will come through for you. All right, number 2 Georgia over number 18 Auburn 34-10. And this was probably the best game of the weekend. It was number 3 Iowa over number 4 Penn State 23-20.
What a tale of two halves. And man, Penn State just did not catch a break after the injury to their starting quarterback, because I forget his name. But when he went down, we started watching the game like shortly after he got hurt. And, it took a minute, but then Iowa started to put things together. We saw Penn State's backup quarterback just didn't look great to start off, and that kind of started the paved the way for Iowa to just kind of get back in the game and eventually take and keep and hold that lead. And Iowa deserves it. And I think, for both these teams, despite it, it's only a 3-point loss for Penn State. I think the Big Ten has shown that they are the second best conference, and and we'll talk about it in a little bit, but so many Big Ten teams now in the top 5 of the AP poll is impressive.
Isn't it 5 out of 10?
5 out of the 10 in the top 10,
Big Ten
which we'll talk about later, is Big Ten teams. And I've never seen it, and they said that number was something we've never seen since maybe the 50s.
Yeah. I wouldn't go back that far, but I wouldn't think it would go back that far.
I think it does.
But yeah, the Big Ten, they don't get a lot of love from the media, and the SEC thinks they're all that.
Well, the SEC is all that, and the Big Ten was big for probably the best conference for a while.
Yeah.
Then when the SEC really rose to prominence, between Saban showing up and a lot of those schools winning the national title for a streak there. But I think the Big Ten is back. Are they as good as some of the SEC teams? I don't know. I definitely know there's a fraudulent Big Ten team that's undefeated that I don't know if we're going to talk about it or not. But we're going to talk about it. But I think it's just cool to see some Big Ten teams looking good and getting some recognition at the top.
We live here in Michigan, so
that's not Ohio State.
We're kind of Big Ten fans. That's our conference up here. You got Michigan, Michigan State. You got Ohio State and Indiana and Illinois, Wisconsin. That's where we're from. So that's who we
kind
follow.
of the blue bloods of college football.
Yeah. Yeah, we play up here in the snow and cold where, your Alabamas, your Floridas, your Miamis.
Are winning national championships.
They're all down there in the sun.
Winning championships.
Yeah.
What do we have to show for it?
Yeah. Other scores. Number 6, Oklahoma over number 21, Texas in the Red River showdown.
Formerly the shootout, but this game was a shootout.
Yeah.
Goodness gracious.
The final score, 55-48, Oklahoma.
Somebody had to claw back. I forget. Somebody was down like 21 to, nothing or 20. It was a real steep score at first, but then they dug back in. And so this is a heck of a game. I saw a little bit of this. Didn't get to watch, a lot because, we were watching other stuff. But
too many games to watch.
So many.
Can't watch them all. We do have lives.
Say that to somebody who's got college football's version of whatever Red Zone would be. Could you imagine?
We get all
30 games at one time. My brain would just explode. I could barely handle 4 NFL games at one time.
Yeah.
Man.
All right, continuing with
my bladder would take a beating. Goodness gracious.
Well, that's why you hit pause on the TV and you.
Not everybody's blessed with a pause button on their TV, Randy.
Well, you're welcome, son, for me having a nice satellite system where you can do that.
Yeah, you need to sell that to the brother-in-law so we can pause it at his house. Goodness gracious, I almost ruptured my bladder.
All right, it was number 9, Michigan over Nebraska by the score of 32-29.
And this is the fraudulent 6-0 team I was talking about. Look, hey, we're in Michigan. And I like all our Michigan colleges, but I'm sorry, Michigan fans, and I've ribbed a few of you at work just saying that this team is not as good as that record is. And I'm sorry, it's true. I think they're a fraudulent 6-0. I don't think they're going to, they're not going to go undefeated. I'm sorry, everybody. They're not. Yeah. I hate to be Debbie Downer, but they let Nebraska hang in there. They probably should have won this game by a mile, but there were some dumb mistakes by Michigan. And Nebraska's got a great young quarterback there. Martinez, I believe his last name is. He looked great. And Jim Harbaugh, I just don't know if he's the answer. I mean, I think it's time for them to move, part ways. And this is me saying that while they're the number 9 team in the country.
While they're undefeated and number 9 in the country, top 10 team.
I'm just saying, pride always comes before the fall.
It was number 11, Michigan State over Rutgers. And Ball State came in here to Kalamazoo and beat our beloved Western Michigan Broncos.
Do I need to look up that score for you? You forgot to write the score down again.
No, 45-20.
For Michigan State?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yep.
Yeah, I didn't put down
He did it again. 2 weeks in a row. The one job he's got. All right, let me see here. Goodness gracious.
But anyway, Ball State came into Western Michigan and handed Western their first MAC loss of the season. Western Michigan drops to 4-2, still a decent record, but losing to Ball State 45-20. Ball State was the MAC champion last year, and it should have been Western last year. But yeah, it seems like Ball State's just got Western's number.
Yeah. And number 11, Michigan State defeated Rutgers 31-13.
Okay.
There you go.
Very good. Thank you.
Gosh.
Finally did something for the podcast this week. All right. Let's
What's
see.
that supposed to mean?
Top 25 upsets. Number 17, Ole Miss upset number 13, Arkansas, 52-51. A last-second 2-point conversion by Arkansas failed. We watched the tail end of that game, and
man, that's a tough way to go out.
The Lions in their game decided to go for 2, and I thought it was the wrong decision, and they made it. Of course, they still lost the game. And then in this game, I thought, maybe they should kick and just go to overtime, but they didn't want to. They wanted to end it right then and there. Good for them for trying.
And that's the great football debate now. It's do you go it's gutsy to go for the win, and I commend that. But at the same time, you would think you'd play it safer. Like, look, if we have a good shot of taking them in overtime, then we're going to take them to overtime. But maybe this is their if we have to play them a whole another quarter, or, overtime, we might not be able to hang.
Yeah.
So let's get it now while we can get it.
Yep.
So. Everybody looks like a genius when it works, and you look like a fool when it doesn't. So it's just one of those things.
Yeah. And in another upset in the top 25, Boise State upset number 10 BYU 26-17. Blowouts.
I was gonna say a little light on the upsets, but that's because the other big ones happened in the other segment.
Yeah. Well, it's hard to know. I mean, we've got the blowouts and shutouts, and you've got the top 10 upsets, But, they're all over the place this week. Blowouts and shutouts. Number 5, Cincinnati over Temple, 52-3. Number 7, Ohio State over Maryland, 66-17. Number 15, Coastal Carolina over Arkansas State, 52-20. Florida, number 20, Florida, shut out Vanderbilt, 42-0. And Wisconsin shut out Illinois, 24-0. In the military academies, it was number 24 SMU over Navy, 31-24. That drops Navy to a 1-4 record. Air Force defeated Wyoming 24-14. That improves Air Force's record to 5-1 this year. And Army was on a bye. They're sitting there with a 4-1 record. And there are 12 undefeated teams in the AP Top 25 poll. This just seems incredible to me. Number 1, Georgia, is sitting at 6-0. This is the new AP poll for this.
Released on
week.
Sunday, yep.
So we've got a new number 1. Georgia is now number 1. They're 6-0. Number 2, Iowa is at 6-0. Number 3, Cincinnati is at 5-0. Oklahoma, number 4, at 5-0. Number 8, Michigan, that fraudulent team moved up one for you. They're at 6-0.
Extremely fraudulent.
Number 10, Michigan State is at 6-0. They'll be playing
Suspect.
in a couple
I know.
weeks.
Yeah, I think Michigan's got a bye this week, and I think the week after that is hate week. This state will be divided in two.
Oh yeah, if they're both undefeated going into that game, that's going to be awesome.
That's going to be incredible.
Yeah,
that'll be can't miss Michigander TV. By the way.
All right, number 11, Kentucky is sitting at 6-0. Number 12, Oklahoma State is at 5-0. Number 15, Number 15, Coastal Carolina is 6-0. Number 16, Wake Forest at 6-0. Number 23, SMU 6-0, and number 24, San Diego State is at 5-0.
Yeah.
So just about half of your top 25 teams are all undefeated teams so far.
Yep. And shoot, we're halfway through the college season pretty much. So.
Yeah.
How many of these teams are going to start dropping losses, pretty soon?
We'll find out in the weeks to come. All right, lower level college football spotlight in the FCS level. It was Fordham over Wagner, 56-7, and you'll be hearing more about Fordham here shortly. In Division II, it was Davenport over Northern Michigan, 18-13. Davenport is led by Sparky McEwen, the former Grand Rapids Rampage head coach, who we interviewed on our show a few months ago, or last year, I guess. So congratulations, Sparky. Let's see, Division III, Alma College over Kalamazoo College here in town, 28-3. Alma College is where I used to go to band camp when I was in high school. Thought you'd like to know that.
Me or the audience?
I'm talking to you.
Oh.
Because we know nobody's listening, so I'm talking
That's
to you.
not true. You have fans.
At the NAIA level, it's St. Francis of Fort Wayne shutting out Madonna of Michigan, 68-0. I've been to a St. Francis game before. Very nice stadium down there. Let's see. National Junior College Athletic Association. Iowa Western defeated our beloved Snow College Badgers 17-14. The first loss of the season for Snow College. They're now 4-1. Iowa Western improves to 5-0 on the season. So I know they beat up on some real weak teams early on, 60-0, 70-0, something like that. And then now they've gotten some real competition. And they're hanging with them, but they wound up losing this one. And finally, up in Canada, Windsor over McMaster's, 27-24 in overtime. That's in U Sports, and I've actually been to a game in Windsor also, just across the border. What's really cool is if you go to Google Earth, look at the Ambassador Bridge in Detroit, move over to the Canada side, and right across the street from the whole complex there where you go into Canada is the Windsor University College Football Stadium. Not very far into the country. And finally, Canadian Junior Football League. I'm not sure how you pronounce this.
Windsor.
Okanagan or Okanagan or Okanagan. I'm not sure. Okanagan Sun shut out the Kamloops Broncos 87-0.
Wow.
Please somebody give me the correct pronunciation. Is it
I'd say Okanagan.
Okanagan?
Okanagan, my captain.
I'm not sure. That's why I was going to mention him last week, but I didn't know how to pronounce the name, so I was afraid to do that. But when you got an 87-0 shutout, I figured I had to mention.
I'd say Okanagan is how I'd say it.
Okay.
Okanagan.
Yeah. If somebody knows, let me know. I would appreciate it. And that is it for this week's World of Football scoreboard.
That's all the time we have, everybody.
Oh my God, we're at 44 minutes on the show.
Well. Technically, we got a little bit of buffer, so it's probably we're over the 40-minute mark.
Okay, all right. Let's move on to some NFL news.
Yeah, I tried flying through those NFL scores for a change. Okay.
You failed again.
Yep.
John Gruden resigned as head coach of the Las Vegas Raiders.
Broke
during the Monday night game.
During the Monday night game.
Yeah, you'd already gone to bed. You came back downstairs and goes, "Oh, quick, turn it back to ESPN," because it was halftime, so I was flipping through channels. And at the time they just said he wasn't going to be the coach, but they didn't say he resigned. They were
all that. It took a while for all that stuff to get sorted out.
Yeah, but a little later on, he came out with a statement and said that he resigned over racist and sexist emails that were discovered from his days at ESPN back in 2011.
Yeah.
He was 4 years into a 10-year, $100 million contract with the team. Special teams coordinator Rich Bisaccia, I think that's how you pronounce that too, has been named the Raiders' interim head coach. Man, I don't think you're ever going to see John Gruden again. It's not like ESPN's going to take him back as a commentator.
I don't think
he's not going to be able to coach in the NFL again. He's basically done.
Yeah, persona non grata, essentially.
He'll probably write a book about his whole life and from ESPN to NFL and back again or whatever.
We'll see. I just think it's crazy. He was building a house in Las Vegas, which was ironically next door to Derek Carr. So the house was almost just done, apparently, from what I was reading.
I did not know that.
And all this coming out while the league there's been a federal investigation against the Washington football team, and and
that's where they found the email.
Yeah, and so you're investigating Washington, and the person who ends up being fired is a coach all the way across the country in Las Vegas. It's just such a bizarre story, and you're kind of doing a manhunt on Daniel Snyder there, the owner of Washington, and it's John Gruden of Las Vegas that gets the can. And I'm not condoning anything he ever said or did, because some of that, if you even read some of the stuff about in those emails, it's just
I didn't really go into the details of what he said.
If you do, I'm just saying tread carefully, because there's some not so good language in there, and what the heck were you doing, Gruden? I mean, he must have thought he was untouchable at the time. He was the highest paid broadcaster at ESPN there. Right. No one has poo didn't stink, but that it's no excuse for a lot of the stuff that came out, the misogynist things that came out about female referees, to the drafting of gay players and so much more, that it's just thinking players who were kneeling should have been fired, which whatever, that's been a debate everybody's been having. Right. So that's the least offensive of all the things he had to say in these emails. But it's just this, they're 10 years old. These things are 10 years ago. I'm not saying he's a completely different person. He definitely should pay the price for, some of those things getting leaked out. But the fact also now, the question is, who saw these emails prior to this and never blew the whistle up till now they're being discovered. So I think there's going to be more heads will roll.
Well, I'm sure he was emailing like-minded individuals to himself. So who's gonna turn that in?
But even then, like now that has come out about him, there's got to be somebody on the other side that is now going to be seeing some punishment for not bringing this to light. So that's the other angle that people aren't really talking about, I don't think. But
this could be a domino thing where he sent those emails, but what about the people that replied to them or basically said the same thing?
Read it and just never did anything about it or reported him or so. Yeah, this is a weird. I think maybe not the end of this story. I'm sure there's going to be more emails. There's probably going to be a bunch of stuff coming out that, God knows what we'll find out. I'm nervous about that. But, yeah, just a total shock.
And the Jaguars head coach,
Urban
Meyer, he's got to be sitting back going, man, if they got him, and I'm still here, what's going to happen to me? Well, will anything happen to me?
You weren't on Twitter last night. Like, I like to go to Twitter as soon as something like this happens because
I know you can't be away from your phone for 2 seconds.
No, it's not just that. It's like people that are just all over it. So like seeing all the memes about Urban Meyer like being a kid on a swing set while a fire, the house next door is on fire. Like it's just insane that nothing's happened to Urban Meyer yet. Here all of a sudden John Gruden almost out of left field.
Yeah, within a couple of days of this coming out, he's fired.
Yeah,
Urban Meyer. This thing's been dragging on for some time.
10 days,
and he's still there.
So it's just nuts, and so we'll see what happens. It
makes no sense.
Like I said, craziest season yet, NFL. I don't know who
on and off the field.
Who writes the script for this season? I mean, what a dramatic season of television this has been.
It's the NFL/WWE going on. All right, the National Arena League has announced that they are going to be implementing Iron Man rules for next season. Now, I read the entire
press
release, and they didn't go into details. But if you're not familiar with Iron Man football, the Arena Football League used it for the first, 10, 15 years, at least 15 years, because it was right after that John Elway came in, and he basically was the one to put the kibosh on Iron Man football. But in the Arena Football League, Iron Man football meant that you had 8 players on the field. Six of them had to play both ways. So all of your linemen, your running backs or your fullbacks were linebackers. Your offensive linemen were your defensive linemen. Your wide receivers became safeties. And so, like, the quarterback was one of the people that, he just got to play quarterback. He didn't have to play defense. And then you had an offensive specialist, so like a wide receiver, only played on offense. Then you had a defensive specialist who was just a defensive back. That's all he did. And then, what was the third one? Was it a linebacker?
There was the
I can't remember what the fourth
there
one
was. There was a linebacker position, but they called it had a special name.
The Mac linebacker and the Jack linebacker.
Well, that's the two names. But there was like some other name they had. I know what you're trying to refer to, and I can't think of it at the top of my head. Yeah. Go dig up one of those arena books, and I'm sure there's something in there.
But yeah, so 6 out of the 8 players had to play both ways. They never came off the field for special teams or anything like that. And it was great because it was great to see, this guy's a great wide receiver, but he's a terrible defensive back. So, or vice versa.
I mean, that was the beauty of the game. The way it was set up was, if you're a wide receiver and one play you're catching a 40-yard touchdown bomb, and then on the next play, you're preventing the other guy from getting the 20 or 30-yard bomb thrown to them.
And I thought it was great for the linemen, too, because if you're a lineman, one play you're protecting your quarterback from a pass, and the next one you're trying to get to the quarterback. So you're learning both sides of the ball, and I think that makes you a better player if you get picked up by an NFL team or a CFL team, because both of those positions. They could plug you in at either one because you've played them both.
Maybe, but then at the same time, I get why they went away from it. The player safety became real, especially in arena football where the hits were pretty hard. I mean, arena football was a tough sport to play.
Any football is a tough sport.
Any football. But, you know what I mean? Like, I think, it's a lot to put on your body. Like, one, having to play constantly almost. Like, that. Not that you can't be subbed out. You get a certain amount of substitutions. But, man, just how exhausting it would be to go from, running a straight route where you're running forward to where you're then a defensive back and you got to backpedal. And it's a whole different range of motion. And but I mean, a lot of these guys, going through the years, showed tremendous skill.
Yes,
playing both ways. These
they
two-way
were exceptional
players.
Athletes, and every game there was an Iron Man of the game.
Yeah, Iron
somebody
Man of the
that
game,
played a two-way position. They highlight that every game.
3 tackles and an interception, and
a touchdown.
47 receiving yards and another touchdown.
Right.
Or something. Yeah.
But.
Because you got to pick those guys at one point, didn't you?
Yeah, we got to vote on those kind of things up in the press box when I was covering arena football. So it was just a lot of fun. I didn't like it when they did away with Iron Man football in the Arena Football League, but the National Arena League is going to be bringing it back. So we'll see how that goes.
Just another ploy for them to try to pretend like they're the new Arena League. And guess what, National Arena League, you're not.
Until they start playing with the nets and letting those nets play into the game, it's still not technically arena football because that has a U.S. patent on it, and they're not using them.
Yeah.
So it's not. But anyway, I look forward to seeing that. Even the Arena Football League tried to continue with the Iron Man of the game, even though they weren't playing Iron Man football anymore. You maybe had one guy that would come in for a couple of plays, like it was a kick returner and a wide receiver, or a kick returner and a defensive back. So they considered that Iron Man. I'm like, I don't know. All right, let's see. Here's something right up your alley. Fan-controlled football.
Yes.
They are expanding from 4 teams to 8 teams next season, which is going to be starting up in the spring of 2022 again. And they're going to be partnering with NBCLX to broadcast their games. I've never heard of this NBCLX. Of course, I'd never heard of Twitch last year that they were on, which you were familiar with.
I think essentially this is going to be like an offshoot of their Peacock app, which they got all their original streaming stuff. And
well, it said that through this NBCLX they'll be on a couple different platforms online, and plus maybe some broadcast networks like NBC Sportsnet. You might be able to catch a game on there.
I said, even if it's just on Peacock, that'd also be incentive for me to get that app. But I think this is a step up from Twitch.
I think so.
Not that Twitch was a terrible platform. I get why they maybe started with Twitch and try to get that kind of.
But had you even heard of this NBCLX before?
No, I just think this is something brand new. But unless it's been around and it's been for their sports, I mean, I'm not a hockey fan. I'm not a Olympic. Well, I like the Olympics, but they got other sports that they cover at NBC that you don't generally find other places. So I don't know. Maybe this is a rebranded portion of their apps. I don't know. Everybody's rebranding all the time. So hard to keep up with all that nonsense. But
I don't know if they're still going to be playing all in one.
Yeah, that was a detail I haven't seen yet. Maybe they're still working out the details. But I like the idea of expanding to 8 teams. And we know they're coming in the spring, so they got a plan. And obviously, they were successful enough in version 1.0, as they called it, that they warranted a version 2. So I'm curious to see where they go from here. And I think everything has been upgraded. So if they're upgrading their broadcast partner and they're upgrading their number of teams, I'm hoping that the upgrading the app, upgrading how we as the fans control the football on the field, and upgrading how I can somehow become an owner for one of these new 4 teams.
Well, if Johnny Manziel doesn't come back, I don't know if I'll be watching. He probably won't. All right, moving on. Eli's Places, a great little show on ESPN Plus. Episode 6 this week, they talked to UCLA coach Chip Kelly, and they talked about fielding Yost of Michigan and his point-a-minute teams. They also talked to, I'm saying Eli, also talked to Barry Switzer, the former coach at Oklahoma, about the wishbone offense, and he also talked to Steve Spurrier, the Florida Gators former head coach, about their fun and gun offense. So they talked a lot about different offenses and the variety of offenses that were run in college football over the years, and it was pretty interesting show. So if you haven't checked out Eli's Places on ESPN Plus, please do so. And another thing here, Arena Football TV on YouTube. They are now up to 961 subscribers. Only 39 to go to get to 1,000, which is their goal. You can help them out by subscribing to their channel.
Great channel. We love the guys over there.
Yeah. And they're starting to get just all kinds of stuff. I mean,
it's just Mr. Capper, right? That's putting all these up. So
I don't know if it's all him. I think
whoever is helping him. I mean, this is a great channel. I love being able to see some of these old arena games, just like the LA Avengers Orlando Predators game from 2003 that was just posted recently.
Now, some of these games, the quality is not that good. I mean, these are coming off of old VHS tapes, so some of the quality is not good. Others are really, really good. I don't know if they've been restored or if they were, digitized or something, whatever, but it's still really good to see, like Eli Gold and Mike Golick, in the booth.
Yeah, and, Mike did a couple of arena games, if I remember correctly, back in the day.
Yeah,
so.
Yeah, and Mike Adamle was doing games, and a lot of big,
of Mikes,
big name people. And who was the one girl that was a sideline reporter?
I want to say Summer Sanders, but that's not who it was. That was a Nickelodeon thing.
No,
I know who you're talking about. I could see her and hear her voice.
Yeah, she came to Grand Rapids one time too, and she was everywhere in the Arena Football League. Did a really good job interviewing people. She knew the game.
Class act.
Yeah, really, really good. You don't see her much anymore, but.
Only because you can't remember her name.
Well, if you go to Arena Football TV, you'll see her picture, and you'll get her name. Anyway,
I want to say Jillian Andrews, but that ain't her.
No, it wasn't her.
Jillian Anderson? Oh, that was X-Files. Never mind.
No.
Jillian Jacobs. Well, wait, she was on Community. Trying to think of all the
Never
Jillians.
mind. Well, I'll look this up, and we'll
Julianne Moore.
Shut up.
Sandra Bullock.
Okay, the new game that they just posted this week is from 2003, and it was the LA Avengers over the playing against the Orlando Predators. So check out.
I just said that.
Jill Arrington.
Jill Arrington.
That's her name. Yes, Jill Arrington. I guess she's still out there doing.
Oh, so now he knows that she's still out there.
Well. But she
told you if you knew her name.
She was really big. When there was an arena football game on TV, she was there as a sideline reporter. Very knowledgeable. Okay, let's move on. Obituaries for this week.
Just got the one.
Yep.
All right, I'll take the lead on this one. Our sole obituary this week is that of Gordon Hudson, who played tight end in the USFL and the NFL and has passed away at the age of 59. Hudson played college football at BYU and was a teammate of quarterback Steve Young. He was reunited with Young when he signed with the Los Angeles Express of the USFL, the United States Football League. He played for the Express in 1984 and 1985. Hudson also spent one season in the NFL with the Seattle Seahawks in 1986. He went on to be an assistant coach with the San Jose SaberCats in the Arena Football League from 1995 to 1997 and was also the head coach of the Utah Cats of the Professional Indoor Football League in 1998. Cats spelled CATS. ZZ. Hudson was inducted into the College Football Hall of Fame in 2009.
Yeah, I remember the Professional Indoor Football League, but I don't remember this particular team, the Utah Cats. And you cut me off before I could intro this whole segment here. Obituaries is where we take a moment to honor those who've made the world of football a better place.
Well, we're running short on time here.
Yeah,
bud.
no, well, I had to go back and do it anyway, so thanks for adding to that. All right, birthdays today, October 12th. Defensive tackle and defensive end Leon Lett turns 53 today. He played his college football at Emporia State and was selected in the 7th round of the 1991 NFL Draft by the Dallas Cowboys. He played in Dallas for 10 seasons from 1991 to 2000 and won 3 Super Bowls with the team. He finished his playing career with the Denver Broncos in 2001. Do you know what he is best known for when I say Leon Lett?
Yeah, when I hear Leon Lett, I think of the guy who fumbled the fumble or
He's best remembered for his 1983 Thanksgiving Day blunder when he mistakenly touched a blocked field goal that allowed Miami to recover the ball. The Dolphins got a second chance at a field goal, made it, and won the game 16-14. That's all he's ever going to be remembered for. Yep. Even though he had an 11-year career, won 3 Super Bowls, that's what he's going to be remembered.
Yeah.
And another birthday today, Charlie Ward turns 51 years old today. He was a quarterback at Florida State and won the Heisman Trophy in 1993. He led the Seminoles to a national championship that same year. But after that, he decided he didn't want to play in the NFL, and nobody drafted him. So he went on to the NBA because he was a pretty good basketball player too. He was the 26th overall pick in the 1994 NBA draft by the New York Knicks. He played 12 years in the NBA with the Knicks, the San Antonio Spurs, and the Houston Rockets between 1994 and 2005. I couldn't believe back in those days that you don't want to play in the NFL. Why would you want to go to the NBA instead of the NFL? But yeah, it just wasn't where his heart was at. So good for him. All right. Any other news that we need to talk about? I know you've been looking at your phone.
Oh, yeah. Just a lot of think pieces about the John Gruden situation. But nothing worth talking about. We already kind of went into it, and I'm sure everybody's been looking that up to death.
Yeah.
So we can move on to this week's history lesson.
All right. This week's history lesson is the story of Fordham University's 7 blocks of granite. Many college football teams have had nicknames over the years, from the Four Horsemen of Notre Dame to the point-a-minute teams of Coach Fielding H. Yost at Michigan. But one team nickname that you may not be familiar with is the one at Fordham University in the Bronx, New York. In 1936, the Fordham line was so good it was known as the 7 blocks of granite. The nickname actually first appeared in an article about the team in 1930, but the name did not stick. It was rediscovered by the school's publicist, Tim Cohane, in 1936, and when he reused it, the name stuck. The 1936 team was 5-0-2 going into their final game against New York University, but they were upset by the score of 7-6 and missed out on a chance to play in the Rose Bowl. The head coach of Fordham at the time was Jim Crowley, one of the legendary members of the Four Horsemen of Notre Dame. His line coach was Frank Leahy, who played under Knute Rockne and would eventually go on to become the head coach at Notre Dame from 1941 to 1953. The 7 blocks of granite were made up of right end John Drews, right tackle Al Babartsky, right guard Vince Lombardi, center Alex Wojciechowicz, left guard Nat Pierce, left tackle Ed Franco, and left end Leo Paquin. They played both offense and defense in those days, which makes their accomplishments even more impressive. They were together for 2 seasons in 1935 and 1936, and posted a record of 11-2-4. The most famous member of the 7 blocks of granite is, of course, Vince Lombardi, who coached the Green Bay Packers to wins in the first 2 Super Bowls and also spent 1 season as the head coach of the Washington Redskins in 1969. Wojciechowicz played in the NFL for the Detroit Lions and the Philadelphia Eagles for 13 seasons from 1938 to 1950, and won 2 NFL titles with the Eagles. Drews went on to play 1 season in the NFL for the Brooklyn Dodgers in 1938. Bobarski played 6 NFL seasons for the Chicago Cardinals and Chicago Bears between 1938 and 1945. Pierce became the Fordham Rams line coach, and Paquin spent 40 years as the head coach at Xavier High School in Manhattan. Franco was drafted by the Cleveland Rams in 1938, but left the team before he ever played in a game. He returned to Fordham, where he was the line coach for 6 years. He did go on to play 1 season in the NFL for the Boston Yanks in 1944. He then went on to be a scout for Vince Lombardi in Green Bay and in Washington. This group produced 2 College Football Hall of Famers in Wojciechowicz and Franco, and 2 Pro Football Hall of Famers in Wojciechowicz and Lombardi. Established in 1970, the Vince Lombardi Award is handed out annually to the top lineman in college football. The trophy is actually made from a block of granite. Past winners have included Chris Spielman from Ohio State, Warren Sapp from the University of Miami, Ndamukong Suh from Nebraska, and Aaron Donald from the University of Pittsburgh. College football linemen do not always get the kind of recognition they deserve, but that is not the case when it comes to the 7 blocks of granite from Fordham University.
Yeah, you had to give me a little history lesson in person about this history lesson you gave. Like I said, I knew about the trophy being made of granite, being like, why is his statue like that? That's such a weird thing, and now I know.
Yep.
Now I know.
Yeah, that's
the more you.
I mean,
know.
I didn't. Basically, everybody knows that Vince Lombardi was on that team, but it was interesting to.
I didn't know that
to
till
see
this.
the other players that were on the team, and they all went on to have a success in their own rights. But yeah, Vince Lombardi, obviously the most famous to come out of that offensive and defensive line for those 2 seasons. All right, upcoming events: October 17th, the Miami Dolphins against the Jacksonville Jaguars at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium in London. That's going to be another 9:30 a.m. game next Sunday. We won't see it because we're going to be going to the Lions-Bengals game.
Yeah.
Man, if I was a drinking man, I think I'd probably be drunk in the stands all game long. But
I can get you your first drink.
Since I don't drink,
I can buy you your first drink there, champ.
No, I'd rather you buy me a hot dog and a big box of popcorn.
Well, I bought your ticket, so I mean, you can buy your own dang food.
Oh, okay. Let's see. November 20th, the end of the CFL's shortened 14-game regular season. Also on November 20th, the 137th Harvard-Yale game will be played, and also the 156th Lehigh-Lafayette game. There were no games last year for either of these 4 schools, so Ivy League didn't play, and Lehigh-Lafayette didn't play last year, so going to renew those long-time rivalries. And December 11th, the 122nd Army-Navy game will be played in Philadelphia. And then finally, December 12th, the 108th CFL Grey Cup game in Hamilton at Tim Hortons Field. All right.
All right, well.
Last chance to get your 2 cents in?
I'm good.
Okay. Well, that's all the time we got for this week. If you learned something during this podcast about the incredible amount of diversity that exists in the world of football, then we have done our job. Visit our website at theworldoffootball.com for news, links, upcoming events, videos, and more. Our email address is info@theworldoffootball.com.
Go ahead and like us on Facebook. We are The World of Football, TWOF Kalamazoo, where we post a lot of unique stories, pictures, and highlights from all over this wonderful world of football. You can also follow our Twitter, where we also post more stuff usually, at TWOF Kalamazoo over there. Feel free to interact with us. We're a pretty mediocre follow where we just, we might respond, we might not. He doesn't pay attention to the Twitter feed. I try to sometimes. But new episodes of this podcast are posted every single Tuesday, except for last week where we had some internet and upload issues.
We still got the audio version.
Oh, did the audio go up on time? That's good.
It was either late Tuesday night or it was like 4 a.m.
Well, maybe not.
Yeah, Wednesday
we try
morning.
to. When we don't have internet issues, we usually get things up
Yep.
on time.
Yep.
Let's see. We're available on SoundCloud, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, TuneIn, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. And also, we are on YouTube. Our YouTube channel is The World of Football Kalamazoo. So please subscribe, rate, review, let us know what you think. Leave us a comment. Any feedback is good feedback. And just know that we're probably going to scale back on the YouTube for a little bit. We're kind of refocusing our energy. We're we'll keep the picks video coming.
And the history lessons.
The history lessons will come. We got one to catch up on.
Yep.
We just been...
Still haven't got last week's posted
It's just
yet.
been crazy around here. I've been exhausted doing some of the old videos, so we're kind of refocusing.
Well, you spend a lot of time. This has been like a full-time job for you.
Almost.
Every night of the week, you come home from work and you just spend hours and hours editing videes to get them uploaded.
Hey, I love it, but man, I don't love it.
It's way too much.
It was a lot to take on, and now that I know that, we're still gonna try to get up some more original stuff. We got some ideas, but I think we're gonna scale back. So you'll still get your Tuesday YouTube version, or we'll try to today. I think we're still having some internet connectivity
I think
issues.
we can get it up there today.
Yeah, well, we'll see.
But the audio version will be up, and we'll get the picks video up in a couple days, and hopefully the
2 history lessons will probably go up this weekend.
This week.
And then we're like I said, we're gonna try to find out some more stuff to do. We just want to make some more exclusive stuff for YouTube instead of just rehashing.
Maybe some football grave visits in our area.
Is that something that people want to see? Is a man with one foot in the grave traveling to see other people's graves? That's
hey, I'm still here and they're not. So do it while you can.
The working title is Randy's Grave Travels.
I thought it was Have Grave Will Travel.
That's also something that I came up with for it. But we'll figure out, or just travel logs of us just doing fun football trips. And we got several trips that you've done that you're like, well, I could either do them again or find some new ones.
Yeah.
And I'm down for the ones I didn't get to go on.
A lot of places I still want to go. A lot of graves I still want to visit. Some statues of players in town.
He just needs to take a videographer with him. And gee, who's that gonna be?
Hey, I'm retired. I can go anytime. I got to work around your schedule.
My schedule. Anyway, come be a part of the football conversation on any of our platforms.
Yeah, and again, we're doing our weekly picks this year, but it's exclusively on YouTube, so look for them on Thursday.
And we may have a special guest picker this week too. Spoiler alert.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Oh, I didn't know.
I was going to save it for when we actually started recording, but guess what? I'm telling you now.
Oh. Well, this should be interesting. Okay, and remember, folks, some people may love football more than we do, but nobody loves more football than we do. Join us again next week when we'll review all the happenings in and around the world of football. Until then, I'm Randy Snow.
And I'm the co-host, Adam Snow.
And we'll see you all next week.